Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what is up? It is Sunday, where I'm recording from. I'm Bryan Anthony Davis from BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. It is time for another possibly thrilling, hopefully compelling episode of Tales from 2 a.m. And if you don't know, Tales from 2 a.m. doesn't mean that it's 2 in the morning when I'm doing this. No, I'm recording this on a Sunday morning in Maryland. But you know what? If you don't know what 2 a.m. is all about, 2 a.m. is more of a state of mind. They used to call me Mr. 2 a.m. I think they still call me Mr. 2 a.m. Got a million nicknames now. It's I can't even possibly begin to count how many nicknames that I have. But Tales from 2 a.m. is basically not the show, but the nickname is from my younger days. And, you know, you get rowdy after 2 a.m. or around 2 a.m. So that's kind of what it is. But when we put this show together last year, Jeff Hartman, Dave Schofield, and myself, we talked about just telling Steelers stories and getting to the lighter side of your fandom and the Pittsburgh Steelers, how you got into it, what's most important to you. You know, so that's kind of what we talk about on Tales from 2 a.m. And it's a lot of fun. It's great to see some great friends of the show, whether they're old or new. Jared Devil and Matt Stofko, Bert Tavares, aloha from Maui. Is that right? Aloha? Okay, I hope I have the right hand up. James Bradshaw coming in from Ohio. Captain Underpants. Tra-la-la. What's up, Bad? I appreciate it. This is man, I gotta bring this up. And I'm going to bring this up because this has a lot to do with what we're talking about in our show in a different way. And it's about legacies, families. And I know I talk about the lighter side of the Steelers, but I want to talk about more of the heart of the Steelers. And we're going to be talking about that today. So let me bring this up. Captain Underpants says, everybody please keep my dad in your thoughts and prayers. He was in a motorcycle accident and needs surgery on his leg. Headed to Sinai to be with him. Blessings and prayers to you, Captain Underpants. I hope everything's all right with your dad. We will be thinking of you, your family, your father, and the surgeons that are going to be taking care of your father. Hopefully a speedy and quick recovery. But definitely we will be keeping him in our thoughts and prayers. And so that has a lot to do with what I want to talk about this week. And I had no idea that was coming. But we got some sad news in Steeler Nation a couple times this week. And the first one that I want to talk about is the brother of Stephon Tuitt. Stephon Tuitt's brother passed away on, I believe it was either Thursday or Friday, we got the news. And he was in a hit and run accident in Georgia. So I do not know all of the details of what happened, whether I don't even know if they found the assailant as of yet, but that really affected the Steelers. That affected Stephon Tuitt and his family. It's absolutely, when you think about that, that is so terrible. You have a 23-year-old man here. Richard Bartlett III is Stephon Tuitt's brother. He's 23. He was struck after stopping along the side of a busy stretch of road to help his girlfriend secure a mattress to the roof of the car. Police say that the driver of the hit-and-run vehicle fled the scene of the fatal accident, but not before turning their car around to see what they had hit. So it's just one of those things could happen in a blink of an eye. And as we're seeing with Captain Underpants' father, getting into, he was in a motorcycle accident, and we're hoping that he is better, but that happens in a blink of an eye, and you never know when that's going to occur. So I had the opportunity to meet Stephon Tuitt a couple years ago. Phenomenal guy, wonderful guy. And I was wearing a 91 jersey, and he loved it. And you could tell that he's one of those people that he's rough and tough on the field, big teddy bear off of the field, just a good guy. And I loved the 60 seconds that I got a chance to talk to him about 3 years ago. Like I said, it was great. And I feel so bad for him right now because losing a family member in that way, I know I lost my grandmother to a car accident. And that was, my gosh, that was 27 years ago now. And you just get that call. And you get that call and everything changes. So why I'm bringing this up, I had plans on bringing this up anyways today, because that's why the title of the show is Sometimes Steeler Legacies Are Bigger Than Wins and Losses. And why I brought that up is because of two things. And we're going to talk more about the second subject, which is Tunch Ilkin. And we'll be talking about him stepping down from the broadcast booth and retirement from broadcasting. But I want to continue on with Stephon Tuitt. When we get into the season, we look at these players as pawns, a lot of them as pawns for our entertainment. And I know I've talked about this before, but it's very important to know the humanity and the hearts that are behind the face mask, behind the shoulder pads, behind the uniform, behind the hypocycloids, behind those digits. And there are people just like you and I. Now, they're not just like you and I in the fact that they are on display at their job every single day. They do not have a private life because of the profession that they chose and are involved in. And I get that. But what we've got to remember, I don't care how many sacks Stephon Tuitt gets next year. He did well in the sack department last year. He was doing great 2 years ago. But I don't care if it's going to be a detriment to the player. We look at a guy like, let me bring up a Terrell Edmunds. This guy has been labeled a bust before he even stepped on the football field. He actually plays very good football. He's a very good player. He is not the superstar that Minkah Fitzpatrick is. A lot of people will talk about how he's a bum, how he's a bust, how when he wasn't tendered, his fifth-year option, people were happy. I wasn't, because you want all those draft picks to do well. But you also have to remember of the human being behind it. So that's the thing to me. And so when I say that I don't care about Stephon Tuitt's stats next year, I care about his stats, sure. I want him to do great. But he's a member of the Steelers family. And to me, when you're a member of the Steelers family, that's what counts. And legacies are more the human being, the human side, to me is so much more than what's behind the numbers. And I'm not talking about the numbers on the jersey. I'm talking about the numbers that they put up. So I know this is something that we can look at every single player on the team. There's going to be more that we're going to love more than others. There's going to be more that are more exuberant, that are better on the field. But I don't like to use the word bum on any player, because if you get to that level, you have excelled at your field. You've done what most other peoples cannot do. Did I just say peoples? What other people cannot do. And that's fantastic. I'm in a job here with this that if I say something stupid, yeah, you guys are going to bring it up. If I say something funny, you're going to bring that up too. If I say something about my personal life, you guys are going to support me. And I've noticed that. I noticed there's going to be haters everywhere. There's going to be more people that love you than hate you. If you give them your heart, and I'm talking about the players, I'm even talking about what I do here. There's going to be more people that are going to pull for me. And I brought up a lot of personal instances on the show in the past, and people have supported me through it. Now, when I say something completely dumb by mistake, like when I call the Steelers coach Bill Tomlin, when I do that, you guys carte blanche to bust on me. That's fine. When I call it the touchdown zone, that's going to end up being a t-shirt someday. That's something that I'm laughing with you. But once again, there's what happens in the players' personal lives, triumphs and tribulations, 100% support. And I think that's huge. Now, there has been so much support for Stephon Tuitt in this situation. But when you see a player struggling, and Stephon Tuitt's not struggling, but if you have a player that has been struggling, is there something more behind it that's going on behind the scenes that we have no clue about? That's always a possibility too. That's we don't know. Guys, you don't know what's going on in my life when I turn off the microphone. Some of the time you do, because I tell you almost everything. But I have some major concerns, family concerns right now that scare me right now. We're trying to get them taken care of. But that's what I want to talk about with the players. And we share the triumphs, man, when they hold up that Super Bowl trophy. And we've only seen it 6 times. And there's been 55 Super Bowls. But we've seen it 6 times. And no one's done it 7. Nobody's done it 7 at all. Patriots have done it 6 times. We've done it 6 times. And when I say we, I know I'm not suiting up for the Steelers, but when we say we say the fact that one of the best teams in history, and everybody knows it, and we know it. And when fans from other cities hate the Steelers, you know what? I love it. I was in a situation yesterday. A lot of people know that I'm a scoutmaster for a Boy Scout troop. And we were playing a game called Gaga Ball. And I don't know if you know what Gaga Ball is. If you actually look it up, it's actually a really cool game. And I think it was born out of the fact that it's kind of like dodgeball, but it's not, because you're not whipping the ball at people's heads and bodies. And I love dodgeball. Was one of my favorite games. But Gaga Ball is you're in a pit. It's like an octagon, if I'm not mistaken. And you have to roll the ball. You can roll really fast at people's legs, and you can get them out. There's a chance to get back in. It's really cool. And one of my scouts, he was dominating, and we were against other troops. So it wasn't just my troop. There was about people from so many different troops, and you kind of play like a team. You have each other's back when you're on the same troop, and it's like Survivor too. If you're small and you're like 1 or 2 there, you try to form alliances with other small ones. And so there got to a point where some of our guys were getting out early, and Nick was remaining, and Nick kept on getting to the final 5, the final 3. And there's one point that it was 4 against 1, and he survived and won the match. Amazing. But he was getting frustrated. And the reason he was getting frustrated, because there's a rule in the game that if you throw the ball out of bounds. So, kind of like in hockey, if you hit the puck out of bounds in a certain way, it's a delay game. So if you throw it outside of the octagon, you're eliminated. But the players that are eliminated beforehand can get back in if they're on the wall of the octagon, and they can try to roll and hit. And if they get somebody out, they get to come back in, and that person gets eliminated. So they're in play. It's like lumberjacks in a way when I say lumberjacks in the WWE. So what I'm saying is the ball was flying out, and Nick hit it out, and he would have been eliminated. And somebody hits it back in. One, it's instinct because they're trying to get back in the game, and they hit it back in, and they saved him inadvertently. And people were mad at the teammates of that other person were mad at him, like, come on, you saved Nick. Why would he save Nick? You screwed up. And yeah. And so Nick was like, comes up to me and says, man, this isn't even fun. They're gunning for me. They want me out. I'm like, yeah, they want you out. What does that tell you? And he said, I don't know. I said, man, it tells you that you're a threat to them. And that's nothing but respect. It's not that they don't like you. You guys could be friends after the game. You could be friends now. But the fact that they want to get you out doesn't mean anything but the fact that they view you as a person of power in this game. And if they can eliminate you, then they're going to win. And when we're playing this game, that's what it's about. Gosh, we see players hug and embrace. We see Steelers and Ravens hugging and embracing after the game. Yeah, because they're friends outside of it. On the field of battle, they're not. It's all out. It's winning is everything when you're in the heat of battle. As long as you do it, you know what I mean. Play fairly. I get that. But what I was trying to tell him is, man, it's not that they don't like you. I would wear that as a badge of honor if they are going after you and targeting you, because that means you're keeping them from winning. So as Steeler fans, it's great when everybody hates the Steelers, because I love it. That means that there's a lot of respect that goes into the fact that other fan bases can't stand you. And we've talked about that before. So I tried to let him know that. And man, I don't even know what point I'm making at this point. But what it all comes down to is, for me, it is becoming less about the wins and losses. Now, trust me, you're going to hear me in season talking, man, if they would have just done this, and be disappointed in a player that screwed up. Yeah, it's okay to be disappointed. But at the end of the day, you realize that, hey, they're a part of the family. And they probably feel just as bad about that screw up. And we're going to root for them as people. Because when you root for them as people, what happens? When the individual person is thriving, they do better at their job. So, like I said, there's going to be haters everywhere. But when you embrace the player altogether, and they're wearing this right here, when this is on their chest, and we're wearing this as fans. And I'm not a player. I get it. I'm not, but I'm still wearing this jersey because it's support. But when they're wearing this, then that means we're all in it for one thing. I'm wearing a Juju jersey today. And a lot of people are going to be down on Juju. He might never dance on a logo for the rest of his career, and I don't think he's going to. Learn from that mistake. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Some people are going to think that it matters on the field. Other people say, no, it doesn't. A lot of people are going to think, well, he needs to quit thinking about the outside interests. thinking about his brand and all of that. He's building something for outside of football, you know? So I support that. When it gets in the way of the game, that's what I'm going to criticize. It got in the way of the season towards the end of last year, and I criticized it. He also quit doing it. So we've talked about trash talk on this show before, and Chase and Juju have been doing some trash talking against the Browns as of late, and the Browns will say, "Hey, yeah, we've got scoreboard," and sure they do. And that's the thing about that. But man, we loved Joey Porter when he was trash talking. We loved Jack Lambert when he was trash talking. Guess what? They were winning titles at the time. Joey Porter wasn't always winning titles, but when it turned into title at the end, it was kind of okay. Thaddeus says, anyone see how many views he was getting each week on those dances? Yeah, he was getting a lot of views. And I have no problem with him getting views. And I was talking about this on one of our shows the other day when Antonio Brown did those Facebook Lives. I loved it. Then it got in the way of the game because it kind of went a little too far. Sometimes you've got to rein it back in. And that's really cool. But I'm not going to begrudge Juju for anything for what he does on the football field. Because when he's on the football field, he plays with a lot of heart and soul. He plays, probably the work ethic is incredible. Antonio Brown's work ethic was absolutely incredible as well. So that's what I'm talking about here. There's something more to me now as I get older. It's about the person and not the uniform they're wearing. And when I say that, Bud Dupree, I'm going to love you forever. Just stay classy. And the way he left was very classy. Alejandro Villanueva, don't love everything that you said on the way out, but I get it. I understand. That's your feelings, and I get it. But number 78, Big Al, is always going to be remembered as a Steeler. He could play with the Ravens. They could win a Super Bowl with the Ravens. He's always going to be known as a Steeler. That's that. For me, as long as you're a part of the family, that's all that matters. So we're going to talk about, to me, the most important thing, and it's legacies and the man behind that legacy. We're going to be talking about Tunch Ilkin when we come back. This is a story that has been absolutely gut-wrenching to me, and I can't wait to just celebrate the man that is Tunch Ilkin and wish him the best in his ordeal that he's going through. And we're going to talk about that right after this on Tales from 2 a.m. Stick around. Welcome back to Tales from 2 a.m. My name is Bryan Anthony Davis from BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. Remember all of our shows on the BTSC platform. We are talking about what I think, the best content out in the blogosphere today. I know I'm the podcast producer, so it's easy for me to say that, but we've got audio shows in the morning. If you are just here on YouTube or Facebook, check out BTSC Radio, BTSC Steelers Radio on anywhere that you download a podcast. I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts the other day called The Rewatchables with Bill Simmons, and talking about old movies. And I was on there because they're on Luminary. And Luminary is... I've never really heard of Luminary before. So I got on Luminary and I look, and there we are. Behind the Steel Curtains on there too. We're found on iTunes, Google Play. We're found on everything. And to me, it's great to see us out there. But let me tell you some of these shows that you might be missing if you're not listening to the audio only platform. Let's Ride with Jeff Hartman, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the AM. On Tuesday mornings, it's Michael Beck with a live mic. On Thursday, one of my favorite shows, The Stat Geek, because, man, no one if you ask him a stat, he's going to do his best to find it, and that's Dave Schofield. It's fantastic stuff. Then these shows that you get on YouTube, we're putting them out there. There's other stuff like My Fact or Fiction, my retro show with Tony Defio, where we go back in time. We're not talking about now, we're talking about then. Sometimes it's great to reminisce and feel good about a game of the past. We do mostly wins. Every once in a while, we'll throw in an extraordinary loss as well, from a game that was legendary. There's some legendary losses too. I mean, but we mostly do wins right now. Maybe when I run out of games, but we get to go. We watch the game start to finish. There's a site where we found these games, and it's called McMillan and Wife. It's incredible. So I get to go back in time and relive those shows. And the one we just put out yesterday, it was 2009 Steelers against Brett Favre and the Vikings. Remember Brett Favre was in purple? Yep. It was really cool to do. Tony and I did that game, and it looked like the Steelers were going to blow that game. Defense prevailed in 2009 in that particular game. It was so much fun. Check that out. Don't miss those. And I'm telling you, we are coming up with our new fall season. We are going to be bringing in some noontime shows too. These shows right now, the YouTube shows, the re-airing on the audio side happens around noon. Going to change that up a little bit. And we're going to have 5 new shows for you. So we're going to have new shows on the audio only side that are going to be fantastic. Get involved in it. And remember, you can't be in a situation where you're driving and watching us on YouTube, because look at everything. You might get distracted. You don't want that. You do not want to get distracted by this face. Whether it's good or bad, you don't want to get distracted by it. So check that out. And also, don't forget about these shows that you're going to get on YouTube every single day. Tales from 2 a.m., you know it. It's on Sundays. On Mondays, live on YouTube, Steeler Hangover, Tony Defio and myself. Jeff Hartman is with myself and Dave Schofield on Thursdays with the preview, as we preview what's going on now and in the future. Dallas Quinley says it's a $175 fine here for touching your phone while driving. So if you're watching me while you're driving, I can't pay that fine. I don't get paid that much. I can't do that. So you could listen to the show on audio, and then you could just picture this face. You could picture me much better looking than I already am. That would be great. When I was in radio, I was in top 40 radio, and I would work midnight to 6, and I would have women call all the time to chat, and I was bored. It's 2 a.m. I already did my homework for the night. I was still in college at the time, and I'd be bored. I'd just talk to everybody because I wouldn't have conversations, and I would, hold on a second, next up, the Spin Doctors. And then go back, and I'd be talking. So some of them had no clue what I looked like. And they would, what do you look like? And I'd like, you tell me. Each time I got the same thing every single time. And I was in my 20s. I was a skinny dude. I had a much better, I still had the flowing hair at the time. I had the mullet going at one point when mullets were supposedly acceptable. But I would say, you tell me what I look like. I got 2 answers every single time. Brown hair, brown eyes, medium build, medium height. And Thaddeus, I don't know. It seemed like I was talking to women. It was the 90s. It was a simpler time. And they'd hit me right on. And then that other group would tell me I was 6'4", blonde with blue eyes. And I'm like, yep, you got it. And I would never, whatever they wanted me to be in the look, that's what I said I was. So Gosh, what a fun time. The very early 90s, late 80s. I graduated from high school in the late 80s. Yeah, that's just so much fun. But other shows to check out. Touchdown Under. Speaking about our glamour boys, man, the boys from Down Under, Matty P, Marky D, man, those are the guy. They get a lot of YouTube views. So they get a lot of listens just because of their voices, because of the accents. I'm laughing at Bad Itch because there's a typo here, and I got scared at first because it looked like when you ate young. But when you are young, you sneak out of the house to go to parties. Now I sneak out of parties to go to the house. Ain't that the truth, Bad Itch? And by the way, no fine for you. You're on the show. The dogs want to say hello. They're running past. Got a lot of dogs in the house this weekend. We're dog sitting too. So absolutely crazy. 7 dogs in the house this weekend. That's why I'm here talking to you guys. Other shows to check out: Scobro Show with Dave, with his big brother Rich. Great show. One of my favorite shows is The Curtain Call, or Know Your Enemy. It's going to be known in season again. I mean, they're talking to people from different organizations, whether it be a competitor or a school where you're getting draft picks from. Tony Defio, he's on Friday nights. Friday night 6-pack with Tony. Used to have brunch with Tony on Saturdays. Now you're having the 6-pack with Tony. So check all those out. Great shows. We will be bringing more personalities in as well. That's a process that we're going to be figuring that all out in the next 6 weeks or so. And we're probably going to have more. Bad Itch, I have 4 dogs, but we're dog sitting this weekend. So that's the only reason there's a little bit more. So I think we'll be fine, but just don't send them to my house. I'm going to go ahead. Dave's asking for my email address. I've been looking, Dave, so I'm just going to tell you here. It's badavis8889@gmail.com. So if anybody does want to get a hold of me, I love hearing from all of our viewers / listeners. It's so much fun to interact with you, and I get an opportunity to do that. So I try to answer all of them the best that I can. So I'll put that up on the screen. And if anybody wants to get a hold of me, feel free to do so. So let's go ahead and I'll pull that up on the screen here on YouTube here. It's badavis8889@gmail.com, and I'll put it up for our Facebook friends as well. Yeah, get a hold of me. I love hearing talking black and gold with all my friends. I've gotten some really good friends from people that I've never met before, and people that talk to me all the time. So I love it. So let's talk about good friends. I've never met Tunch Ilkin. Never met him in my life. I've been in the vicinity of him at different events, but never had an opportunity to talk to him. I regret that. Man, I would have loved to have had a conversation with Tunch. Because when you listen to the radio, and from every account, from when he was a freshman player at Indiana State, when he was a rookie for the Pittsburgh Steelers, this guy was accessible. And he's one of those guys that you think of as family from the beginning. He is a man of faith. He's a man of family. He's a man of his football family, the Steelers. You know, he played for another team. He actually played for the Packers for a little bit in 1993. But he's always been a Steeler. You know, it's Michael Jordan was a Wizard. You know, Johnny Unitas was a San Diego Charger. Brett Favre, we talked about him. He was a Viking Jet, and then he came back to the Packers. And was he somewhere else too, besides the Vikings and the Jets? No, I think that was it. Tom Brady's now a Buccaneer, but when you always think about it, you're going to think about who they played for. We talked about that with Big Al. He's always going to be known as a Steeler. Rod Woodson won a Super Bowl with Baltimore. He's always going to be known there. Josh Parker, yeah, he was drafted in the second round by the Falcons. Brett Favre. Yeah, what I was thinking about, and I knew that from the beginning because I remember watching the draft. Josh, I watched drafts like crazy. Snowman Franco was a Seahawk, absolutely. I was thinking more of the end of a career, but thanks for throwing that in because I did leave that out there. Yep. Yeah. Can you imagine Brett Favre as a legendary Atlanta Falcon? I'm pretty sure they would have loved to have held on to him. Definitely. Sometimes you don't know who you have. Hey, remember Drew Brees was the San Diego Charger too. But I want to talk about Tunch Ilkin. So when I got the news in October, when I heard that that Tunch Ilkin had ALS, my heart sunk. Jeff Hartman talked about ALS the other day. His best friend forever passed away from ALS, and it is a devastating illness that you don't come back from. And it has been said that it's the equivalent of being trapped inside your body as it goes. That is just unfathomable to me. I can't even fathom. I can't process it if I was trapped inside my body. The only thing that I could think of is, you ever have a night terror or you're having a dream and you know you've got to wake up and you're trying to fight your way out of it, and it actually hurts because you're trying to fight your way out of it because you know you're asleep, but you're trying to wake up and you feel trapped? I'm almost thinking it would feel like that. I don't know for a fact. That would scare me more than anything. I've had family members that have had it. We all went through the maybe about 5 years ago when the ice bucket challenge was out there to try to give you an idea, and it was a phenomenon on Facebook where you would nominate 5 people and you would dump an ice bucket on your head, and it was said to have been to try to give you a quick idea of what it would be like. It wasn't, but it was also for awareness, and they raised a lot of money. So this is just something that is just absolutely devastating. And Tunch made it clear that he's going to spend time with his family, and he's going to live this chapter of his life. And I'm going to miss the heck out of Tunch Ilkin in the broadcast booth. But I want him to be with his family and live out this chapter as well. And we'll think of him every day. There will be a hole in that broadcast booth. But if anybody has memories of Tunch Ilkin, and Tunch Ilkin's still with us, but great highlights of his career, whether it be in Pittsburgh, he was, when nobody else was going to Pro Bowls in the 80s, it was Tunch Ilkin. You know, he was the guy. And you can't think of Tunch without Craig Wolfley. And this is a cool thing. You know, they're always side by side. They're doing the locker room together. They're doing these shows together. They're best buddies. They're family. They are definitely family, and they're not of the same blood. Tunch is Turkish American. Wolf hailed from upstate New York. And so this is one of those situations that these guys have always been linked. And do you know when they were drafted? They were both drafted in 1980. And think about it, in 1980, the Steelers had just won the Super Bowl again. So they had the last pick in the draft. So in the very last pick of the 5th round, it was Craig Wolfley. In the very last pick of the 6th round, it was Tunch Ilkin. So there they were. They have all these great stories. They could, and that's why I love listening to those guys together. They tell the stories of the early days with the Steelers, all of this, and that's something that I love to hear. And with this devastating disease that Tunch is going through, it's one that you don't come back from. You don't survive it. So it's very sad to see the decline of somebody. We talked about early in the show the loss of Stephon Tuitt's brother. That was 23, sudden, boom. Now there's a different story when we're looking at Tunch. We're looking at the fact that we know the outcome and we know it's going to be soon. We don't know how long it's going to take. And man, I think if your immediate family, if you're the person that's happening to, that's a whole another level of dread. It really is. But where we are, and I talk about BTSC family all the time, and I kind of live by that because you guys are family to me. Man, I've been going through a tough time in my personal life. Everything's good. I mean, I'm happy with the family. Everything's good, but there's other things going on with job concerns and with health and that we worry about. That we're going through it. And my BTSC family, man, they've got my back. They made me cry the other day, tell me, hey, you need some help. We're here. So we have this awesome community. That's why I think we're the best site on the internet for this. I think we're great because I know the names of these people. I have gotten, let me tell you, I'll bring one up. Snowman's up here. I get emails from Snowman every once in a while. I get emails from Dave. I get from a lot of you, Cree. I get and if I missed you, I apologize. I get messages on Twitter, and I love it. I love having that connection with y'all. Nap's another one I get emails from. So it's the support group that we have, the family, and we are such fans of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We feel like they're our family too. And that's why this hurts so bad, because it's a member of our family that we're seeing going through this decline. One of the I got to bring up Brian Brown here, and this is actually a really funny one because his favorite Tunch quote is, "Repack those suitcases. The Steelers are going to Detroit." So right before the infamous Jerome Bettis fumble in the divisional game on January, I believe it was 15th of 2006 against the Colts, Tunch was like, "Hey, call your travel agents, pack the bags. We're going to Denver." And then he had to take it back because now it looked like the Steelers were going to lose. So when the Steelers finally beat the Denver in the AFC Championship game at the very end, when it was safe to say it, he was like, "Repack those suitcases. The Steelers are going to Detroit." I mean, that's such a great memory. And that's when you think of the heart of the Steeler, the heart of the broadcaster that I've been talking about, the how we're all in this together. That's such an awesome quote. Man, I'm sometimes we're in a situation like this, you don't know what you're praying for. I can honestly say that. All I know is that I'm praying for Tunch Ilkin. And really, it's one of those, and then you let the when you pray, you let the higher power sort it out. And Ryan just brings this up, and I had noticed this a couple weeks back when I heard it. I forgot Steve Mongo McMichael is going through the same thing, and so yeah, that's very sad news as well. Yeah, gosh, man. Somebody put in the live chat earlier that as we get older, we go to more funerals than we go to weddings, and I'd have to go back and look. I saw the quote, and it's very true. And here's another thing. The more people you get to know, and I love getting to know everybody. Man, I love being able to reach out. Like I was telling you, I love when you reach out. I love to form relationships with as many people as I possibly can and make it real, And the more relationships we form, there's going to be more triumphs. There's going to be so many triumphs when you form relationships, and there's going to be the opposite side. There's going to be sadness with the relationships. But you can't live in a bubble, You can, but you don't get the reward out of it. Thaddeus, another favorite of mine is to listen to the old radio broadcast of Steelers games while I'm driving. Myron Cope was hilarious. I loved Myron with Tunch and Bill. I love Myron with Jack Fleming. I love Myron. I know Tunch, not a drinker. Bill and Myron, they'd be snockered by halftime sometimes from what you hear. But he was so good with those guys, and he was so accepting and on the air, and it was awesome. So blessings and prayers go out to Tunch. And man, I hate having shows like this, but sometimes this show's about the lighter side of the Steelers. Sometimes we got to get to the heavy side. Michael O'Malley said, Tunch hated the fact that they were drinking, but it worked, and he was so good with them. I think he viewed Myron as a dad. I got to bring this up, and I haven't read the whole thing. I'll read it out loud, but I know where he's going with it. Tunch is so much more than football. His work with the community, the church, and homeless is huge. He's inspired me to take my daughter to help at a soup kitchen in Dallas. Man, bad itch. That's awesome. Yeah, really is. I mean, he is so much more than football. Super chat. Bad, if you need me, you got my email address, and I'm not so far from you. I can drive down. No, I mean, we're doing good. There's just we all have the things on the outside. But thank you so much, Snowman. I appreciate it, and thanks for the $5 super chat. That's what this community is all about, and great. I'm not going to get out of this this show without choking up. Thank you so much. That's why this community is so great. That's why being in black and gold, that's why being a Steeler fan is so great. Sure, we have some that forget it sometimes. Of course we do. But when you hear the news about Stephon Tuitt's brother, Richard, when you hear about what the Ilkin family is going through right now and what Tunch is going through, my problems are a whole lot less. There's still problems. There's so many people everybody in the live chat, you have problems. That's what we have. When we have lives, there's going to be problems that follow. How we get through them is the most important thing. But having a community around you, having a village or an inner circle, having the woodwork, when I went through cancer in 2003, when I was diagnosed with cancer, I had a community came out of the woodwork. It was great. And I know that I can count on the Michael O'Malley's, the Snowmen, everybody in this live chat. I know I can. We're going to be back smiling next week, and we're going to be talking about Steelers. We're going to be talking about some fun things. We'll leave you with this. I can't be Bryan Anthony Davis without being BAD. It can't be going to be bad. So I'm going to make you smile as I get ready to go. So Malik Hooker, he is in Pittsburgh this week, was in Pittsburgh last week. And there's a possibility that he signs with the Steelers. You know, some people are all for that. Some people are afraid because of the injury history. Some people want it, some people don't. I want it because I kind of look on the positive side, and you hope the injuries are behind, but I think it's worth the gamble. But the other thing, I said to my wife, hey, I'm going to get you a Steeler jersey if this happens. We might have a new player. She said, which one are you, who's it going to be? I said, I'm going to get you a jersey that says Hooker on the back. And you can wear it. And she laughed and she goes, I'll wear a Hooker jersey. I'm like, that is so awesome. Hey, we're as people, we're going to laugh and cry. As Jim Valvano said, and if you've never listened to the Jim Valvano ESPY speech, I do it every year in July when ESPN does the ESPYs. I make my kids listen to it. When I teach communications class, I make people listen to this speech. It is one of the most inspirational speeches I've ever listened to. And he says you do one or two things every single day. You laugh, you cry. There's something else. I can't even think. Breaking news, though, guys. Michael Beck just came in with some breaking news, and it looks like the Falcons are trading all-pro wide receiver Julio Jones to the Tennessee Titans in exchange for at least a second-round pick, a blockbuster for Tennessee, who now gets the coveted big play threat, and Atlanta ends up with some very nice value. This is from Ian Rappaport that I'm reading it. Wow, Julio Jones will be a Titan. That's really interesting. So I had to bring it up since it was breaking news. Kathy, my daughter had a Philly name playing for cash. I wanted to call her Hooker. That's really funny. See, that stuff's awesome. Ryan O'Toole says Bell would buy a Hooker jersey, or maybe just the Hooker. All right, see, we can laugh, we can cry, we can do it both, as long as we do it together, right? Thank you so much for indulging me in the last 53 minutes and 22 seconds. I love you all, and I appreciate it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you to do three things, like I always do. I ask you to be safe. That's the most important thing. Whatever you do, please be safe out there. Number two, be true to yourself. Don't stop being you. If who you are is what you display and you're proud of it, people are going to rally around you. Always be true to yourself. And number three, always be behind the steel curtain. Thank you so much. It's 2 a.m. somewhere. Have a blessed day. We'll see you.